When you decide to go no contact, it's not about seeking revenge or making someone feel the pain you felt. It's about reclaiming something far more valuable, your power. Far too often, we hand over our emotional energy to people who don't treat us fair. We pour our time, effort, and attention into them, hoping they'll see our worth, hoping they'll reciprocate. But when those hopes are met with indifference, disrespect, or neglect, we have to ask ourselves a difficult question: how much more of myself am I willing to give to someone who doesn't value it? Going no contact is your answer to that question. It's a bold decision that says, I refuse to let someone else have this much control over my peace of mind. And yes, it's hard, especially if you've built a connection with them. But what's even harder is staying in a situation where your energy is drained, your spirit is worn down, and your sense of self is chipped away piece by piece. This isn't about them, it's about you. It's about recognizing that the only person responsible for your happiness is you. When you go no contact, you take a step toward rebuilding the parts of yourself that you might have lost in trying to make things work with them. It's not about bitterness, it's about freedom to feel, to grow, and to breathe without the weight of their actions or lack thereof hanging over you. And here's the thing about power: it's not something you beg for. It's not something you demand from others. Power is something you reclaim the moment you stop giving it away. By choosing silence, you choose yourself. By walking away, you create space for something better, for someone who values you, or even more importantly, for the version of yourself that thrives without their validation. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Because the reality is, you can't change how someone treats you. You can't force them to respect you. But you can decide how much access they have to your life. And when someone shows you through their actions that they don't deserve that access, going no contact is the ultimate act of self-respect. So don't see it as a loss. See it as an investment of choice to redirect your energy back to where it belongs within you. It's the beginning of a chapter where you reclaim your power, one silent step at a time. Silence has a weight to it, a power that words often can't match. When you go no contact, it's easy to feel like you need to explain yourself, to justify your decision, or to make the other person understand why you're pulling away. But the truth is, silence often does the talking for you. It carries a message that words can't convey. It tells them without a single syllable that your peace is more valuable than their presence, if that presence comes at the cost of your dignity. When someone no longer has access to you, the absence becomes louder than anything you could ever say. They begin to notice what's missing: your kindness, your support, your energy. And it's in that void that they're forced to confront themselves. See, when you're constantly available, constantly explaining, constantly engaging, you shield them from the consequences of their actions. But silence makes them sit with it. The beauty of silence is that it shifts the focus back to you. It's not about what they're thinking or feeling, it's about what you need. It's about giving yourself the space to breathe, to heal, and to rediscover who you are without their influence. And in that stillness, you begin to realize how much power you've always had. The power to walk away, the power to choose yourself, the power to let go. Silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the quiet, unshakable confidence that says, I don't need to explain myself to be at peace. It's not about revenge or making them miss you. It's about creating a boundary that protects your emotional well-being. It's about taking a stand, not with words, but with actions, or in this case, with the lack of them. And here's the thing: silence has a way of revealing truth. When you stop engaging, you see who truly cares. You see who is willing to take responsibility, to step up, to show up. And sometimes you see that the people you thought would fight for you won't. And that's okay, because silence isn't just for them, it's for you. It's a reminder that you are enough, even without their validation or approval. So don't fear the quiet, embrace it. Let it speak for you when words fall short. Let it be the boundary that guards your peace and the statement that reminds you of your worth. Silence isn't the absence of power, it's the fullest expression of it. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is simply say nothing. There's something liberating about setting boundaries without feeling the need to explain them. So often we fall into the trap of over-explaining ourselves as if our choices need to be validated by others. But here's the truth: you don't owe anyone a justification for valuing yourself, for protecting your peace, or for deciding that a relationship no longer serves you. Going no contact is not about convincing someone else why they crossed the line. It's about deciding that the line matters to you. When you set a boundary and stick to it, it's an act of courage. It's not easy to walk away, especially when you've invested your time, your emotions, and your energy into someone. But what's even harder is staying and constantly explaining why you deserve better. Every time you try to get them to see your perspective, you give away a piece of your power. And at some point, you realize that the more you explain, the less they hear you. The most powerful boundaries are the ones you don't announce. They're the ones you simply enforce. Walking away without giving a speech doesn't mean you're cold or unfeeling. It means you're choosing yourself. It means you've realized that actions speak louder than words. You don't need to convince someone to respect you. If they don't see your worth now, no explanation will make them understand it. By not explaining, you teach yourself a vital lesson: your value isn't up for debate. It doesn't hinge on whether they agree with you or understand your reasons. It simply is. And when you walk away quietly, you're making a powerful statement, not to them, but to yourself. You're saying, I deserve peace and I won't let anyone disrupt it. There's strength in simplicity. No dramatic exits, no lengthy conversations, no back and forth arguments, just a decision to step back, to protect your space, and to focus on your own growth. You'll find that the more you practice this, the less you feel the need to explain yourself in any area of life. Because true self-respect doesn't need an audience. It doesn't seek approval. It simply is. And here's what happens when you set boundaries without explaining them: the people who truly care will respect them. The ones who don't, they'll reveal themselves. Either way, you're left with clarity, and that's worth more than any explanation you could ever give. Taking a step back and going no contact isn't just about distance, it's about creating the space you need to detox emotionally. When you're constantly in contact with someone who drains you, whether through manipulation, inconsistency, or neglect, you become overwhelmed by the weight of that connection. Your emotions get tangled up in their actions, your thoughts revolve around their behavior, and your peace becomes tied to how they treat you. No contact is your way of breaking that cycle. When you cut off communication, something remarkable begins to happen. At first, it's uncomfortable because you're so used to their presence. But as the days pass, you start to feel lighter. The noise in your mind begins to quiet, and the emotions that felt so overwhelming start to settle. That's the detox, the process of letting go of the emotional chaos they brought into your life. This isn't about avoiding your feelings. It's about giving yourself the clarity to process them without interference. When you're still in contact with someone who has hurt you, it's like trying to heal a wound that keeps getting reopened. Every message, every conversation, every encounter reintroduces the pain. But no contact allows the wound to close. It gives you the time and space to understand your emotions, to face them head on, and to let them pass naturally. Detoxing emotionally is not just about healing, it's also about rediscovering yourself. When you're wrapped up in a toxic connection, you lose sight of who you are. Your energy gets poured into fixing, pleasing, or understanding someone else, and there's little left for you. No contact shifts that focus back to where it belongs. It's a chance to reconnect with your own needs, your own desires, and your own sense of self. This isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of survival. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't thrive in an environment that constantly drains you. Going no contact isn't about running away, it's about stepping into a space where you can truly breathe again. It's about choosing to put yourself first, not out of spite, but out of self-love. And as you detox emotionally, you'll realize something powerful: you don't need them to validate your worth. You don't need their presence to feel whole. You are enough just as you are. The peace that comes with that realization is worth every moment of discomfort in the process. When you decide to go no contact, one of the most profound lessons you'll learn is the art of valuing your own peace. We live in a world where we're constantly encouraged to fix things, to try harder, to give second and third chances. And while effort and forgiveness have their place, there's a line where protecting your peace must come first. It's not selfish, it's necessary. You see, your peace is the foundation of everything else in your life. Without it, you can't think clearly, you can't move forward, and you can't give your best to the people and opportunities that truly matter. Staying in contact with someone who disrupts that peace is like living with a constant storm, one that you didn't create, but one you keep enduring, hoping it will pass. Going no contact is your way of stepping out of that storm and into a calm you may not have felt in a long time. It's not always an easy decision. Sometimes we confuse chaos with passion or think that enduring the storm is a sign of strength. But true strength is found in knowing when to let go. It's found in realizing that your well-being is worth more than any relationship that requires you to sacrifice it. No one else will prioritize your peace if you don't. When you go no contact, you're making a statement not to them but to yourself. You're saying that you refuse to participate in dynamics that leave you feeling drained, anxious, or undervalued. You're choosing an environment where you can grow, reflect, and simply exist without being in a constant state of defense. That choice is powerful, and it's one that begins to reshape how you view yourself and your relationships. Valuing your peace doesn't mean you don't care about the other person. It doesn't mean you wish them harm or hold resentment. It simply means that you care about yourself enough to know what you deserve. It's about understanding that a relationship, no matter how meaningful it once was, should never come at the expense of your mental and emotional well-being. And here's what's beautiful: when you start protecting your peace, you attract people and situations that honor it too. You set a standard not just for others, but for yourself. And once you've experienced the clarity and freedom that comes with valuing your peace, you'll never want to compromise it again. Because nothing and no one is worth more than your inner calm. When you go no contact, you begin to realize the immense power that lies in reclaiming your time and energy. For so long, you may have felt that your time was consumed by trying to make a relationship work, by navigating the complexities of another person's moods, expectations, and demands. But what happens when you take all that energy back? You'll be surprised at the transformation that follows. Your time once spent in anxiety, frustration, or confusion is now your own again. You have the freedom to focus on what truly matters to you: your goals, your dreams, your personal growth. No longer distracted by the constant push and pull of a toxic relationship, you can devote yourself to things that nurture your soul, that fuel your aspirations, and that contribute to your own happiness. This shift is powerful because it highlights something essential: you are the architect of your life. The choices you make, the relationships you nurture, and the time you give to something or someone all determine the direction you take. Going no contact is a profound acknowledgement that you are in control of your own journey. You have the ability to decide where your energy flows and where it doesn't. And when you reclaim that control, you start to see your life in a completely different light. It's not just about stepping away from someone, it's about stepping into a more intentional way of living. You begin to prioritize the things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. You invest in yourself in ways you may have neglected while you were giving so much of your attention to someone else. And in that space, you'll find room to heal, grow, and build the life you deserve. One of the most remarkable things about this shift is that it frees you from the cycle of people pleasing. When you constantly give to others without considering your own needs, you end up feeling depleted. You may find yourself questioning your worth or doubting whether you're enough because you're always looking to others for validation. No contact allows you to break free from that cycle. It lets you shift the focus back to you, where it belongs. By taking this step, you're making a declaration to the universe: you will no longer allow people to take from you without offering anything in return. You will no longer allow your time, your energy, or your heart to be wasted on relationships that don't uplift or support you. You are worthy of more than that. As you reclaim your time, you'll start to notice something profound: how quickly your life begins to fill with more meaningful experiences and relationships. You begin to understand that when you remove what doesn't serve you, you create space for what does. Your potential, your creativity, and your strength emerge in ways you couldn't have imagined before. This is the power of taking back your time. And when you fully understand the value of your time, you begin to use it more wisely. You invest in activities, people, and passions that elevate you, that push you closer to your best self. Time becomes your most precious asset, and you stop wasting it on situations that drain you. Every moment spent nurturing yourself, building your future, and focusing on what matters is a victory. So going no contact is not just about removing someone from your life, it's about reclaiming the life you deserve. It's about taking ownership of your time and your energy, recognizing their worth, and using them to build the future you want. When you choose to go no contact, something extraordinary happens. You start to rediscover your own strength. For so long, your sense of self might have been tied up in someone else's actions, their approval, or their behavior. Every shift in their mood, every word they said, every decision they made affected your emotional state. But when you step away, you begin to realize something profound. You are not defined by them. You are defined by you. It's easy to lose yourself in a relationship, especially one that is toxic or one where you feel your value is constantly being tested. You might have found yourself constantly compromising, giving in, or even losing sight of your own needs just to keep the peace or maintain harmony. But when you go no contact, you take that power back. You reclaim your identity. You stop letting someone else's dysfunction define your reality. No contact is the space you need to reconnect with the person you truly are without the interference, the manipulation, or the emotional roller coaster. It's a chance to remember what you love about yourself, what your goals are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of. You start to trust yourself again, and in doing so, you begin to rediscover your inner strength. You realize that you've always had it within you. It's just that in the midst of trying to hold everything together, you lost sight of it. This process isn't just about removing someone from your life, it's about reconnecting with your own power. It's about giving yourself the space to grow without the constant pressure of someone else's expectations. Going no contact means you can stop managing someone else's emotions, stop trying to fix them, stop trying to make them see things your way. You can start living for you again, and that is one of the most empowering things you can do. When you make that choice, you'll begin to notice a shift in your energy. You start to feel more capable, more confident, and more centered. The weight of someone else's emotional baggage no longer drags you down. You're free to move forward at your own pace in your own direction. And that freedom brings with it a renewed sense of self-assurance. This newfound strength allows you to make decisions that align with your values and your goals. You stop second-guessing yourself because you begin to trust that your judgment is sound. You stop letting fear or doubt hold you back because you've seen that you're capable of navigating even the most difficult situations. Going no contact strengthens your resolve. It shows you just how strong you truly are, and it empowers you to stand tall no matter what. The beauty of rediscovering your strength is that it doesn't come from an external source. It doesn't come from approval, from validation, or from fixing someone else. It comes from within. You realize that no one can take your power unless you give it to them. And when you stop giving it away, you realize just how capable, resilient, and strong you are. As you continue on this journey, you'll find that your strength becomes a magnet for the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances. You'll attract what you're worthy of, and you'll stop settling for anything less. Because once you tap into your own strength, you'll never let anyone take that power from you again. When you decide to go no contact, one of the most powerful shifts that begins to take place is the way you start to see yourself. For so long, you may have been caught in a cycle of self-doubt, questioning your worth based on the actions of someone else. Their approval or disapproval, their validation or rejection may have defined how you felt about yourself. But when you step away, when you stop seeking external validation, you begin to rediscover your own self-worth. In a toxic relationship or any relationship that isn't serving you, it's easy to lose sight of who you truly are. You may find yourself constantly adjusting to meet the expectations of someone else, compromising your own needs, and even sacrificing your happiness in the process. But the moment you take that step back, You start to see things with clarity. You start to see that your worth was never dependent on their acceptance, their love, or their approval. Your worth is inherent. It was always there, hidden beneath the weight of the toxic dynamic you were once caught in. This shift in perception can be uncomfortable at first. You might wonder if you're doing the right thing by distancing yourself, especially when you're used to trying to make everything work. But with each passing day, you start to realize that the real power lies in standing firm in your own value, independent of anyone else's treatment of you. You start to realize that no one can define your worth except you. As you begin to embrace your own worth, you also start to recognize the value in setting boundaries. Going no contact isn't just about walking away from a person, it's about teaching yourself that you are worthy of respect, peace, and love. You deserve relationships that uplift you, not drain you. You deserve a life where your value is recognized, not ignored. And when you begin to embrace this truth, you'll realize that it's not about being perfect, but about being authentic to yourself and your needs. No contact also allows you to heal the parts of yourself that may have been wounded by this toxic relationship. As you distance yourself, you create space for self-compassion. You allow yourself to feel the pain, to grieve, and to heal without the interference of someone else's actions. You give yourself permission to grow, to become stronger, and to redefine who you are in the absence of this toxic influence. And that healing, begin to realize just how much strength you truly have, strength that you didn't even know existed while you were still trying to fix someone else. In this process, you also begin to appreciate your own resilience. You may look back on your journey and realize just how much you've overcome, how much you've endured, and how much you've grown. You didn't break, you survived. And not just survived, but thrived. You start to see yourself as someone who is capable of creating a future that aligns with your dreams and desires, not shaped by the dysfunction of someone else. This new perception of self-worth brings with it a sense of empowerment. You no longer feel like you're chasing after validation. You realize that you are already whole. You no longer measure your value by how someone else treats you, but by how you treat yourself. And as you continue to embrace this truth, you become more selective about the people you allow into your life. You start to attract those who see your worth, those who respect your boundaries, and those who uplift you. In the end, going no contact isn't just about putting distance between you and someone who has hurt you. It's about creating the distance you need to rediscover your true self, your true value. It's about learning to love yourself in a way you may have never done before, and realizing that your worth is not defined by anyone else's actions, but by your own sense of self-respect and self-love. When you go no contact, you start to recognize the deep sense of freedom that comes with it. In many relationships, especially those that are toxic, we often find ourselves shackled by the constant emotional toll of trying to make things work. The stress, the anxiety, the constant adjusting of who we are to meet someone else's needs, it all takes a heavy toll on our sense of self and our emotional well-being. But when you step away from that, when you go no contact, you break free from those chains. It's not an easy thing to do, and at first you might feel the weight of the emptiness or the silence. You might feel like you're losing something, that there's an absence that you're not sure how to fill. But in reality, that space is an opportunity for you to fill your life with what truly matters, what nourishes you, what empowers you, and what allows you to grow. That freedom is not just about leaving someone behind, it's about giving yourself the space to breathe, to think, and to reclaim control over your own life. For so long, you may have felt like your emotions were tied to the whims of another person. Their moods, their words, their behavior would dictate how you felt. If they were happy, you were happy. If they were upset, you were upset. Your emotional state was constantly in flux because it was based on external forces. But when you cut that connection, you begin to understand what it feels like to have emotional stability. You are no longer reacting to someone else's energy. You start to control your own emotional state. And that is one of the most powerful freedoms you can experience. This freedom extends to your time as well. How many hours have you spent trying to fix a relationship, trying to convince someone of your worth, trying to manage their reactions or their emotions? Think about all the time you could have spent focusing on your own growth, your own goals, and your own happiness. When you go no contact, You suddenly realize how much time you've been pouring into something that wasn't given back to you. And now you can take that time and invest it into yourself. This is a key part of reclaiming your freedom. You start to realize that your time is your most precious resource. And when you stop giving it to people or situations that don't respect you or value you, you open up space for things that truly serve you. You begin to prioritize your own well-being, your health, your passions, and your dreams. You start to recognize that you are the one responsible for filling your life with purpose and meaning, not anyone else. This freedom also allows you to start rebuilding your life on your own terms. You don't have to fit yourself into someone else's mold or live up to their expectations. You can finally live authentically without the constant pressure to conform to someone else's desires or needs. You begin to pursue the things that truly excite you, that give you joy, that challenge you to grow. The freedom to be yourself, to explore who you are without fear of judgment or rejection, is one of the most liberating experiences you can have. And with this freedom, you also come to realize something very important. You don't need anyone's approval to live a full, meaningful life. For so long, you may have sought validation from someone else, hoping they would see your worth or acknowledge your efforts. But when you go no contact, you start to see that your validation doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within. You begin to appreciate yourself, trust yourself, and honor yourself. You no longer need someone else's approval to feel good about who you are or what you're doing. In the end, the freedom that comes from going no contact is not just about being physically separate from someone. It's about emotional liberation. It's about reclaiming control of your time, your energy, and your sense of self. It's about creating space for what truly matters to you and for the person you are meant to become. This freedom is yours to keep, and it will carry you forward into a life filled with growth, peace, and purpose. When you go no contact, you're not just removing someone from your life, you're creating the space needed for something greater. Often in toxic relationships, we become so absorbed in trying to change the dynamic or fix the issues that we fail to notice the incredible opportunities that life has to offer. We're so focused on the dysfunction, the drama, or the pain that we miss the bigger picture, the incredible transformation that is waiting on the other side of that separation. In this new space, you start to realize that there is a world beyond the person you walked away from. The moment you let go of the emotional weight they carried in your life, you begin to free up energy that was once spent on managing their needs, expectations, or moods. That energy is now available for you to put into your own dreams, your own growth, and your own healing. This shift in focus allows you to see possibilities that you were blind to before. It's easy to get stuck in the belief that without a certain person, something is missing from your life, that you need them, their presence, their validation, their approval to be whole. But when you take that step away, you start to realize that the only thing that was truly missing was your own peace, your own sense of self. You were so focused on someone else's needs that you forgot about your own. You were waiting for them to validate your worth, to make you feel whole, to fix the emptiness you felt inside. But none of that was theirs to give, and none of it could be fixed by them. It was yours to heal, yours to nurture. Now that you have that space, you can start to rebuild. And the rebuilding process is not about going back to what was before or trying to create something similar. It's about creating something new. You have the chance to design a life that is entirely yours, free from manipulation, free from negativity, and free from the constant emotional toll that comes with toxic relationships. You can finally start to move in the direction that aligns with who you truly are and what you want from life. What often happens in this space is that you begin to attract the right people. Without the toxic individual taking up space in your life, you become a magnet for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. You start to meet people who respect your boundaries, who see you for who you truly are, and who support you in your journey. The quality of your relationships begins to change because you are no longer accepting less than you deserve. You begin to notice how different it feels to be around people who uplift you rather than drag you down. This new beginning also gives you the clarity you need to focus on your personal growth. No longer distracted by the noise of someone else's dysfunction, you can now devote time to the things that matter to you. You have the space to heal, to rediscover your passions and to focus on the things that truly bring you joy. Your personal growth is no longer defined by trying to please or fix someone else. It's about moving forward in a direction that makes you feel alive, empowered, and true to yourself. As you move forward, you'll notice that opportunities start to present themselves. Without the emotional baggage of a toxic relationship holding you back, you have the courage to step into new opportunities, whether that's in your career, your personal life, or your passions. You're no longer paralyzed by fear, doubt, or uncertainty. The no contact decision gave you the freedom to see what's possible when you finally prioritize yourself and your own future. And while it might take time to fully heal and embrace this new chapter, know that the seeds for this transformation are already planted. You are no longer shackled by the past. You are free to create a future that's aligned with your true self, one filled with peace, fulfillment, and limitless potential. Going no contact is the first step towards that freedom, and the journey ahead is yours to shape. So trust that this decision was not just about walking away from someone, it was about walking toward a life that you deserve.